You're listening to BLXCR Talk Show Radio, your community informative podcast. Black men, and we want to talk about how we can make our community a decent place to live. And we want to definitely talk about the anniversary of the Million Man March and see if we can rekindle that spirit that we had. And if we get a moment, you can go on YouTube or you can go to NOI.org and you can definitely get the archive dealing with the Million Man March. And I can share from someone who actually went to the march. It was a beautiful spirit, and it demonstrated that we can do anything in unity. And when we went to the march, it didn't really matter what your political background was. It didn't really matter what your faith and belief in particular to religion was concerned. Every man and every black man of every hue was at that march. They came from everywhere, from California, Chicago, Tennessee, Alabama, New York, Virginia. All walks of life came to that march because they saw a need when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan made that call. And what's so unique about that story, if you know anything about what took place at that march, a lot of people were telling the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that to do that on a Monday, on a work day, would be impossible. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan followed the instructions that God gave him, and we came together 2 million plus strong in unity. So, what's the purpose of us talking about the unity of the Million Man March? That march, in my opinion, demonstrated that we didn't make excuses to come together. And that was a work day. Many of us took off, we planned, we utilized our resources, we got with other brothers of like minds, and we came to hear a message. And the message was an atonement for us to create a dialogue, for us to correct the ills that we've been taught since being in the North America. And what I admire, and I can speak from my experience, is when uh, we actually heard the call, and this is when I was living in New York. And the first time that we heard this large group of brothers coming, we was at the ballroom out in New York City. It was about 10,000 plus more brothers in this big auditorium. The line went around the block a few times, but the discipline that we had, and we was unlocking line with our brothers, knowing that, hey, we have to come together in order for us to solve these problems. So when we came together and we actually went inside and we heard the minister speak, we knew that that was a calling of God, and that was something that we can definitely repeat even today's time. The message, because we did the march not only in '95, but a few other after that. We had the Million Family March, and then we had 10-10-15. So I remember actually going to the march and seeing a sea of brothers actually coming together, and it was in harmony. Every black business at that time in Washington D.C., business was being sold out, and it was so heartwarming for so many business owners to be able to sell out all their inventory. Every black restaurant was sold out, and everywhere you went, businesses was thriving. There was no crime. Nobody was on a negative vibe. It was just all love. And the notion that if we can just constantly do that on a regular basis, where we can circulate our money, at that capacity, that we don't need politics to actually govern us to do what we can do on us ourselves. And that's the message that we're dealing with today, doing for self. And we utilizing that message of the Million Man March, and we spoke about how the businesses were selling out, and we actually was focused on making sure before we spent outside that circle of communities, that are not black owned, we made sure that the mom and pop stores were taken care of. And we're missing a lot of those mom and pop stores today because we are dealing with a lot of chains, major chains coming in our community and taking away the mom and pop stores that were either dealing with hardware, where you can go and buy different utilities, just from the mom and pop store before it was a Home Depot or a Lowe's or a Sam's Club. The mom and pop store was a thriving thing that you could always go to a Mr. or Mrs. Johnson's hardware store, grocery store. Now that we have these major chains, it's kind of move away those elements of those mom and pop stores that we once upon used to have. Now we have some few here and there, but once again, that shows you that the breakdown of the community is very important. That we look at those entities that come in. Yes, they provide jobs, those major store chains, but I think that when you look at redlining and how you position those stores does play a large key, and that's why we believe that grassroots movements are very more important than national. And the reason I say grassroots movements are more important because you definitely deal with what's necessary and need inside the community itself. So before a major store chain comes into a small community, we have to look at what does it affect the smaller businesses that may not have the same capital at these major stores. Now we definitely appreciate Walmart and those other stores once again because it does help out. And then of course, with online shopping, that took away the element of being more personable with the people in the store that might be a smaller business selling goods, what have you. We don't really see too many sneaker stores and small stores that do retail because once again, most people are buying online. Now it is a convenience for it, but there's a detriment to that as well. So going back to the Me and Man March, one of the things that we appreciate about the march was we was there to atone, to actually be at peace, deal with conflict resolution. Meaning that what is conflict resolution? Conflict resolution is if you have a problem with another man, another black man, whether it be family or otherwise, to do the best that we can to atone and try to find peace between you and that individual. A lot of times, the slogan always been, we hear so much about black on black crime, where anywhere you have the majority of people, you're going to have that element. Whether it's a white community, you're going to have a large influx of white on white crime amongst that group. If you deal with the Hispanic community, if that's the majority of the community, you're going to have a high influx of that crime, at that capacity. But for some reason, it tends to be focused on the atrocities and the killings between black men and the murder rate, which is unjust because once again, we're only 13% of the population. Now, do those things need to be addressed? Of course they do. But if we start looking at the solutions that actually was given when we went to that march through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he spoke about the things that we can do ourselves at home. We don't need permission. We don't need a special election. We don't need a special politician. Sometimes it takes us that know better to actually go into the community and create programs. So before I go in, I want to play a clip of the Me and Man March pledge and why it's so essential to this conversation. A lot of times when we play things that are positive for our community, sometimes it doesn't meet the community standards. And that's an unfortunate thing because a lot of times if you look on social media, some of the most degenerate, disgusting things are on there, and those things get a pass. But once again, we all pretty much know the element behind that. But just because those are roadblocks doesn't mean there's another route we can take to get our message across. So I'm going to play a clip of the Me and Man March from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And then after hearing the pledge, we're going to dive into what can we do as men, particularly black men, to actually bring those actual words into fruition, to actually come back to our community and make it a safer, decent place to live. And that's when the rubber meets the road. So I want to play the pledge right now.
In closing, I want you to take this pledge. When I say I want you to say I, and I'll say your name. I know that there's so many names, but I want you to shout your name out so that the ancestors can hear it. Take this pledge with me. Say with me, please. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward I will strive to love my brother as I love myself. I say your name from this day forward. Will strive to improve myself spiritually, morally, mentally, socially, politically, and economically for the benefit of myself, my family, and my people. I say your name. Pledge that I will strive to build business, build houses, build hospitals, build factories, and enter into international trade for the good of myself, my family, and my people. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will never raise my hand with a knife or a gun to beat, cut, or shoot any member of my family or any human being except in self-defense. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward, I will never abuse my wife by striking her, disrespecting her. For she is the mother of my children and the producer of my future. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will never engage in the abuse of children, little boys or little girls, for sexual gratification. But I will let them grow in peace to be strong men and women for the future of our people. I say your name. Will never again use the B word to describe any female, but particularly my own black sister. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward that I will not poison my body with drugs or that which is destructive to my health and my well-being. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward, I will support black newspapers, black radio, black television. I will support black artists who clean up their acts to show respect for themselves and respect for their people and respect for the ears of the human family. I say your name. Will do all of this. So help me God. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. That means God is great.
You're listening to BLXCR Talk Show Radio, your community informative podcast.
Never really be justice on stolen land. Are you really for peace and equality? Or when my car is hooked up, no, you want to follow me. Your laws are minimal because you won't even think about looking at the real criminal.
You know, yes, sir. The victory belongs to the righteous. Our power is in our unity. Yeah. Look, when you see me coming, know it's serious. Am I really like that? Ask the trenches if you curious. I still laugh and know how to have a good time. Just gotta ask God to forgive us for how we get when we furious. Masculine, he, him, his. Yeah, I'm on that. Try to cancel me, you might get canceled. You should know that. No, I can't let them castrate me. No, sir, they won't pay me for my manhood. Keep it, we don't want that. U.S. soldiers come home and the people thank them for their service. If they knew how many lives we saved, they thank us for our service. Save some people's lives that might not ever know we saved them. Long as Allah pleased with how we out here working, then it's always worth it. Look, please don't get us confused. Yeah, we pushing peace, but we get busy, we get violent too. Got some brothers with the movement, but they ain't got all they screws. We just found the truth and we with Allah. Come against us and you bound to lose. Can't say I ain't warn you, can't say I ain't tell you. Come through with them ones, with them members called us failures. Grew up in the trenches, but it turned us into warriors. Mama, I was born to buck the system, I'm rebellious for sure. Look, they ask me, is this real or is this for the cameras? A lot of brothers say they for our people, but really be scammers. If all the work I put in was on camera, you would have that answer. What I look like doing this for clout, look, I got higher standards. I don't need 100 soldiers with me, I got God with me. Still pull up deep to show the brothers unified with me. Know some brothers ready for whatever that's gonna ride with me. Got some real dedicated members on this side with me. Youngin' out his mind, off a pill, he think he's Superman. Off a pill, he get way out his body, think he's Super Saiyan. He just trying to escape the pain for real, escape reality. Streets depressing, you can lose your mind and you can lose your head. Promise we been getting the trench together though, for sure that, They trying to tell us what to do, respectfully we know that, Lot of commentary from them people on the sidelines. All that stuff they like to talk about, we really on that. So look, please don't get us confused. Yeah, we pushing peace, but we get busy, we get violent too. Got some brothers with the movement, but they ain't got all they screws. We just found the truth and we with Allah. Come against us and you bound to lose. Can't say I ain't warn you, can't say I ain't tell you. Come through with them ones, with the members called us failures. Grew up in the trenches, but it turned us into warriors. Mama, I was born to buck the system, I'm rebellious for sure.
Mama, I was born to buck the system, I'm rebellious for sure. Mama, I was born to buck the system.
Actually gets to see a mother interact with civility towards the father when it comes to decision making, how to be at peace to get the overall objective. Now, when the son and daughter actually see mom and dad actually working together, now don't get it wrong. We understand that couples have their problems and things aren't always perfect, but once again, you strive to the best that you can to make things work. And as long as the children are actually seeing the mother and father actually trying to work things out, those things become generational. Where if they go outside and the son and daughter is learning that mom and dad learns how to deal with conflict, guess what? When they go to school, they learn those same principles with them. And this is why we talk about why the family unit is so important. Now, some may say, well, so many fathers not at home. Yeah, those things, those dynamics are there, but it doesn't mean that you can still utilize those principles where you can still be civil with one another. Or if the father may not be there for whatever reason, we're not going to go into stereotypes, but this is where the community comes in. And this is part of the conversation where I'm talking to the men. There's a lot of beautiful children, highly intelligent children, that even if the father's involved, that village essence, where sometimes we can add on to things to that child, give that child so many things to put in his or her toolbox. We're only making a better person for our community. Now we get the negative element out there, because guess what? When those negative elements want those children to do something, they find the means and actually the ways to make those children either sell drugs or send them to the store and get a pack of beer or cigarettes. That's at a savage mentality. Today, we're talking about using the mentality that God gave us on a righteous path that we can possibly bring and actually add on to our community. So my challenge is really towards the men and the black men in our community, that we are looking for you to create programs. And that was part of the pledge in the Me and Men March, that we ought to go back to our community and create those businesses, get better acquainted with our children's mother, come at peace, be mentors, create those programs. Those things still can happen today. So a lot of times, instead of us coming on platforms like this, let's talk about what programs we can create. It's so easy to complain. Complaining has absolutely no power. To come and put on the app and you bitch and you complain and you downgrade your brother, all because you feel that they should be moving a certain way. Sometimes when we look at that mirror, we got to ask ourselves, what does our post look like? Are we walking in our post in the perfect manner? Are we alert to our surroundings? You got to ask that question. Are we being due diligent and making sure that our community? So what does our work look like? And that's sometimes the reality as a man. Before we chastise or criticize, what does our work look like in our community? So I want those who are watching this to do an eval, and particularly the men. What does your work look like before you criticize what a man should and shouldn't be doing? Now, do you have a program? How many of your influence around you talk about the betterment of the community? That's something that we have to do an evaluation as well. What does our circle of influence look like? Are we productive? Or are we a bunch of men that sit around griping and complaining about a situation, but not coming up with a solution? So my challenge is to all the men, once again, to my sisters, you can hold those men accountable. Let's take politics out of it. We're not going to blame Trump. We're not going to blame Miss Harris. We're not going to blame the Democratic Party. We're not going to complain about the Republican Party. We're going to talk about Team God and Team Correct, Team Doing Right. We're talking about grassroots movements. There's a lot of great organizations that maybe you may not have your own, or may not have the capacity to get and galvanize those like minds. But there's a lot of grassroots movements out there that we can join on to help with the programs. There are sports leagues that not only deals with sports, but sometimes having that locker room conversation with young boys who may not have it at home. That's an assignment that we can take on. There are ministries like defense, agriculture, business, economics, education. Okay, so one of the topics that we're talking about on social media is the fear about the educational system, and both sides have their ideas of the educational system. But Brother Malcolm X said something very influential about dealing with education. You got to be a fool to allow your oppressor to educate your children. I'm just paraphrasing, but that the statement is true. You got to be a foolish people to let your oppressor to constantly educate our children. And one of the things that was concerning about the educational system is they're taking out Black history, dealing with the atrocities happening in our community. At what point we got to take accountability for the education of our children? We can't rely on the system to educate our children because we're looking at the results. Now, if you look at the history of the Black man and the Black woman and the children of this country, we were robbed of our culture, name, religion, of course, knowledge of self. There's no system that was once upon a time had slaves is going to re-educate you to do better, because right now, when we look at after the abolishment of slavery, we had more Black towns, we had more Black businesses during the time of Jim Crow and before the civil rights movement. So we are educated. And once again, we knew who the enemy was. Now, every time we built a Black town, racism, with the aid of others, have destroyed every town that we had. Because even during the Great Depression, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street was thriving during the Great Depression. So they're wondering, how do former slaves able to circulate their funds, able to have businesses, banks, and all these things happening, and yet we're not asking for government loans. We didn't do it that. No politician came into our community when we had our own Black towns and campaigned on what they're going to promise to give us. We didn't need any campaign promises to build up some of the wealthiest communities that we ever had in these lands of the United States. So why are we begging for opportunities today when we have more resources? We have more millionaires today. We should be seeing schools pop up in every part of our community because we have more resources. But more resources doesn't mean that we have the knowledge of business. Now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke very diligently about uh, business is warfare. Now, if we're not putting those businesses together, and this is where I say the men have to actually look at, are we walking our post in a perfect manner once again? If we're not creating those businesses or things that we can generate generation wealth, we have no business talking down to a man. We have so much homework to do ourselves, learning economics, finding ways to work with those of like minds, and finding friendships in all walks of life. Now, those key elements are very important to us being successful. And it is a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. But this is the spirit of this post today to why we had played the pledge of the Me and Man March to give a friendly reminder of why we were so successful and also to be a student of history. Now, Black history is our responsibility. And if any of us have any books at home, and I know we're dealing with technology where a lot of books are on the shelf collecting dust, but there's still a lot of bookstores open. There's a lot of books that we could probably dust off and find a lot of key elements in there. And we can't always rely on technology because getting rid of the books. Therefore, it allows the enemy to put new information in there. This is why we got so many different versions of the Bible. Instead of sticking to what the original context is, if it's an inconvenience, sometimes we take out those books that are very vital to this is why we have so much confusion in scripture. But the point I'm making is for some of us who have grew up having books, actually going to the library, do not get rid of your books. Keep your books. And actually, if you do have some soft covers, make them hard covers and actually reread the books. Sit down with a dictionary. And if you don't understand a particular word, look up that word to get full meaning of what that book is trying to explain. There's nothing wrong with sitting down with our children and talk about the atrocities of what happened during slavery and talk about those towns that did thrive economically in the United States. Those Black towns that, yeah, they were destroyed, but guess what? We know better, we do better. So we have to create a ministry of defense, meaning that we have to protect what we have. So if we have a community, that means that we have to set our own parameters, brothers, and actually get out into the streets and actually engage with one another. Even if it's just one or two people, start small and grow big. And that's how we create our squad. So moving forward, we're going to start having squad meetings together. And I'm using these apps to actually to be more proactive myself to interact with people of like minds. We're looking for builders and those who are willing to do the work. If you have the nature of complaining, bitching, what have you, we do not want you in our squad. That is a weak link. Weak links do nothing in our community. So the weak link consists of this. If you're a complainer, you're always looking for somebody to give you a handout, or you're lazy, you are a weak link. We do not want you in our community until you feel that you can be a part of a stronger link to make our chain strong. So this is what we're looking for: strong-minded brothers and sisters, but in particularly Black men who are not looking for any political gang banging. We're not looking for any spiritual gang banging. Whatever your beliefs are, that's your beliefs. But the common goal is to better our community within ourselves. Start today. Have that conversation. If you're watching this right here, start that conversation. See what we can do to actually come with those alike minds. Now, we did do those things after the Me and Man March. That's back in 95, well, way before social media. And if you notice that during that march, if you watch it again, everybody wasn't on a cell phone. Everybody wasn't texting or making lives or none of those things. They were pinpoint focused on what the mission statement is. And when we focus what the mission statement is and we avoid the distractions, you can see how powerful that march was. And it actually went back. So many brothers went back home motivated. Families got tighter. Some brothers even started businesses together. And that's a beautiful thing. And the support that spirit was there. Crime went down as it was uncomfortable coming from such a vibe that just imagine that car ride home from the march with your brothers on, hey man, we're gonna do so many things. Brothers are actually putting those things in fruition. It actually did happen. I'll bear witness to it. And that's part of us brothers who are Gen X, that we have so many stories ourselves of transformation, of doing better. Some of us who've been locked up before came out, cleaned themselves up, got married, had children, actually started a business, or I got a degree and got a high figure paying job. Those are the stories we need to share on social media. We don't need to share tabloid garbage. We need to share the triumphs, how we overcame difficulties, how we became better men, how we had, was once lost because we all fall short. So we shouldn't beat up on brothers who fall short because some of us have our faults as well into why we had to go through those transformations. And by through the grace of God, that God gave us a person to intervene to our affairs. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about also about the beauty to why I joined part of being the family of the Nation of Islam. I remember, and I'm gonna show you this book. It's called Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You may have seen a lot of brothers like the Muhammad, excuse me, you may have seen a lot of brothers like Muhammad Ali, brother Malcolm X, a lot of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan talk highly about this book. Now, this book right here, Message to the Black Man, saved my life to a large degree because I know when I was 19, I was coming into knowledge of self by watching so many beautiful brothers, and this is why brothers in the community, carry so much weight. As a young man, started from 16, come out of high school, so many brothers are out there selling books, interacting with the people, starting programs it wasn't a program you couldn't go to. And I remember seeing a brother selling that book, The Message to the Black Man, and I actually opened it up where it gave you all those questions. Now, there's a lot of brothers that say, well, I don't read the Bible, I don't go to church because they can never answer my questions. This book right here, if you got a dictionary, a Bible, and a Quran, and you actually sat down and you took your time to read the book, you're going to see things differently when you read it over and over again. And that's the first time I read a book when they spoke about in Genesis where God created man and female in his likeness and out of his image, and that the black man was God. I said, whoa, the black man was God. I said, well, it made sense because if we made out of the image of God and we're the original men and women of the planet, we're not the God, but it shows you that we have God essence within it all. And it kind of changed my perspective, how I never saw a black man as the N word. I don't like using it, but niggas use so freely. But they said that when you see another black man, you see God, you see a brother, and guess what? When you see another black man as your brother, you're less likely to want to cause harm or you want to kill him. And that's something that kind of resonates to why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was so successful in reincarnating the black man's mindset. And of course, those elements out there that want to take him out of the history book. And there's a reason for it. And this is why I said we're responsible for educating our people. They can never put real revolutionaries before you that was successful and impactful. No one has had the success that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has had as far as transforming black men and black women. You can look it up. You can do the research. Okay. Those false allegations against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you got to look at who put it there. No, he didn't. There was no, the nation didn't kill Malcolm. We're not getting to that whole story, but I'm making a point where we need to be responsible for the history and what's going on in our community. We are responsible for the history we teach our children. And I want us to actually do the homework assignment. And if you want to order that book, go to noi.org. And there's a bookstore link that you can tap on and actually get the official book. So once again, to get the official book, don't go on Amazon. Go to noi.org to actually get your copy original. You're listening to BLXCR Talk Show Radio, your community informative podcast.
Now, I was going to say that the next day, Ali, when everybody was saying the stereotype thing, here's a refreshing young man, we found out you were a Muslim, and people got scared.
I got bad all of a sudden, yeah.
People got scared, and you got bad all of a sudden, right, overnight.
I was a good boy when I was hollering, I am the greatest, I cannot be beat, I am pretty, I'm the king, he. I was a good boy. But when I said I'm a Muslim, my religion is Islam, what's wrong with that? You have 600 million Muslims on earth, and Muslim only mean one who submits entirely to the will of God, Allah, and Islam only means peace, entire submission to God, and we don't believe in forcing ourselves on
Do you hate
white
the
people.
whites?
No, sir, we don't hate
Why
whites.
has that grown up, do you suppose, that the
No,
Muslims
this is
are a
false
hate
propaganda
white group?
to scare Negroes, to keep them from coming, because Negroes by nature love their enemy. They pray for those who use them. Negroes by nature don't hate nobody. And so if they can make people think that we're a hate group, that'll frighten them. But we don't hate white people. We know white people. We know the history of white people.
Let us carve out a nation.
Joshua, modern day, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua, modern day, from Jerusalem to Jericho, here we go. Joshua, modern day, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua, modern day, from Jerusalem to Jericho, here we go.
Here we go. Tell me what other man that you may know that has been fighting for our liberation since he was only 22 years old. Who be as bold? Nobody, truth to be told. He never creases or folds. Stronger than iron, roll like a lion, worth more than platinum and silver and gold. Making it gotta be known, making his power be shown, leading us into our own land is promised to Abraham many thousands of years ago. He the man, he the general, executing the plan. Opposition is minimal. From Jerusalem to Jericho, here in mystery Babylon, he is the only hope everyone need to know.
Modern day, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua, modern day, from Jerusalem to Jericho, here we go. Joshua, modern day, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua, modern day, from Jerusalem to Jericho, here we go.
Big lamb, trunk slam, popping them straps off final call. Tossing giants out of sacred land, stretch them out like China wall. Say no to we 100, Joshua with no riffraff. Allah gon' open that Red Sea, so Elijah floated up in Ave. In DC, I'm Salaudin, swinging sword in Jerusalem, walking heavy in Jericho. Enemy, he not used to them. Mama Mia, no Jahiliyyah, just holy war, we killing this. Cold feet on that battlefield, gon' get you left in that wilderness.
10 toes down, I plant my flag in the ground. Call my soldiers to Jerusalem, we bout to take the town. Farrakhan is Elijah, minister and Messiah. I suggest you give it up, for we set it on fire. Joshua generation, a new demonstration. Squared off with a giant without no hesitation. Like Goliath and David had faith and we made it. Look for peace after war, and it's assalamu alaikum.
Joshua, modern day, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua, modern day, from Jerusalem to Jericho, here we go. Joshua, modern day, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua, modern day, from Jerusalem to Jericho, here
This
we
is
go.
the one, the Savior, prophesied in your Bible, who came in the last days. Son of Man is his title, second coming to Christ. This is the man in your book, right? How you gonna tell me this ain't him when y'all know what he looks like? For certain we were slaves, strangers in a country not our own, oppressed and mistreated, so the God in person left his home. 9,000 miles to see about me. He saw, he conquered, and addressed our needs. See, these them dreadful times, so he sent Elijah. When it comes to reforming the black mind, there's no one wiser. Excuse me, brother, sister, when you read the scripture, if you don't see yourself in it, you won't get the picture. Ban us on Facebook, IG, my army Twitter. The world is with us, never quitters. We heavy hitters, listen, living the dead. Farrakhan gon' have that head. I am Farrakhan. Well, you heard what they said. Joshua.
Joshua, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua, from Jerusalem to Jericho, here we go. Joshua, you fought the battle of Jericho. Joshua,
the battle of Jericho, Joshua, modern day. From Jerusalem to Jericho, here we go.
Things, and then whatever you disagree with, I'm pretty sure it'd be small, but it's a great book to read, especially to all my black men to actually look into it. And once again, do a small study group. Now, there are a lot of study groups within the nation that you can visit on Wednesdays and Fridays. All you have to do is look up the Nation of Islam Mosque on Google and find which mosque is closest to you. And go in peace and love. You can visit on Sundays. They have Wednesday class, and they also have a Friday class. So if you're looking to say, okay, what programs are out there, I'm giving you the programs that are actually out there where it actually helps transform a lot of way that we think. And to my sisters, then if you want to see where positive black men look, where they're clean, they carry themselves with respect. If you ever go to a mosque meeting on a Sunday, sisters, and you want to see men be dutiful towards you, open your car door, escort you and your family to and from your car. Instead, being positive, giving you love, and actually going to your checkpoint when you meet your sisters and have your sisters give you so much love when you come there, then you can say this is a prime example of what community looks like. I'm not saying that churches don't know have those things. I can only speak it from my experience and giving um, solutions to those things that we talk about so much in our community. That we always say that where are the programs, where are the organizations doing those things? I'm giving you hands down one of the elements that are on is on and going. And like I said, the beauty about the nation that we do have our own school. It's called MUI, Muhammad University of Islam. Now, if you can send your children to Catholic school, you should have a problem with sending your children to a school that is teaching knowledge of self, how to respect self, and then actually be a better man and woman to our community. That's something that's very strong and powerful. Even if you don't join literally, but once again, you can't take away from something that you saying that we're all the black schools. We are giving it to you. So if you go to NOI.org on their website, you can see a lot of programs that we have online, what have you. And then actually the bookstore has something called How to Eat to Live, how we can put those proper nutritions in our body, how to fast, and how to eat one meal a day. But let's get back to the point to the Man March, because all these things ties in, where we're challenging our brothers today on how we can create programs in our community. So if you have to my sisters, I'm gonna need your help on this, okay? Because sometimes when you speak with that strong feminine energy that you have, and maybe your husband or your significant other may not see this program, or if you have sons, have the conversation at the dinner table. Ask them what programs can we put together to actually bring a solution to the problem. Even if you start with your family first, call uncles, your grandfathers, your brothers, and sit down. What programs can we put together that we can actually start at a grassroots level, and then we start small and grow big? Now, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have naysayers. That's part of it. Don't get frustrated behind the naysayers because that's natural. That's going to happen. But when you sit down and have those things there, and those obstacles comes towards you, don't let those obstacles deter you from doing what's right. So you start small, you get those like-minded brothers, even if it's just two of you. Okay. Now we got a plan together. Now you put it on paper. It's nothing like putting thought to paper because you got to map it out, organize it, and see how you can actually make those things happen. Now, the beauty that why I'm inviting so many brothers to come out to meet the brothers in the Nation of Islam, because we have something called the 9 ministries. The 9 ministries breaks down categorically on how things should be able to operate within a setting of men. Okay, so those things that you can actually go to your brothers, and every FOY is going to be happy to actually see brothers come and see what we can do. Because guess what? Sometimes you may bring an idea to the brothers, and they look at it as, "Hey, man, let's join in and mesh those ideas." Now you're creating a brotherhood, and that's what the enemy don't want. See, they don't push brotherhood, in these campaigns because it goes against the grain. Because if you have educated black men, if you have educated black men who love their family, guess what's hurting when you have the black man on top of his post? If the black man's on top of his post, guess what? It affects the prison pipeline. That means educated brothers aren't getting locked up because they're not on a corner. They have businesses and they can hire lawyers Okay, if you're educated, you know what you can contribute to society, and then you have the community supporting that. They don't want those things. If you have the black man creating businesses, guess what? We're not begging for opportunities, but guess what? Because we are hiring our own people. We have our own economic structure. And guess what? If we have stronger family units where we're doing right by our sisters and sisters doing right by us, guess what? Those abortion clinics, you stop seeing very few of those because now we're seeing value in human life. Okay, I know it's a controversial topic, but once again, there's a mission that you study eugenics and the how aborting our baby is part of a master plan during the early 19th century. You will see there's a plot to why you see the high influx of promotion of abortions, not how to better our family. They're not promoting that, but they have no problem telling a woman that, hey, the only thing that's important to you dealing with healthcare is abortion. That's something that you should question. I'm not a female, nor am I say that any woman dealing with incest or any atrocity, life-saving decisions, that's something totally different. But what we're speaking about is that why is every time we have a campaign that abortion seems to be the top of the subtopic of getting rid of your child. Now, one of the things that we were taught from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was that a woman's womb is God's workshop. I'm going to repeat that. The woman's womb is God's workshop. Nothing in this world or no one of greatness comes into this world without going through the womb of a woman. Okay, so to my sisters and to all women, and I'm saying this with love and respect, and I'm not trying to say that we're trying to control anything, but it's something to think about. If you look at your womb as God's workshop, you are less likely want any man that is not qualified to plant his seed in a womb that God has created a workshop for you for. So that means that you have to, the real pro choice is choosing the right man. The real pro choice is choosing the right woman. This is not about being preachy, but once again, this is about changing ideology, how we think about how we do these things. And this is still going back to the Man March, the pledge to actually to do right by our women, to protect our women. As a brother, my words, I believe, and then how I feel is me giving you another option on how to better protect your heart and protect that womb that God has created as his workshop. Because every prophet, whether it be from Moses, Abraham, even Jesus, if you look at the conception of Christ, he had to go through the womb, and why his womb had to be protected, why they had to leave Palestine and go into Egypt to protect that womb. Because once again, as long as that womb is not interrupted, greatness comes from it if the spirit of the dynamics of the family is correct. So every time we abort a child, and this is not something to make any female who's gone through it feel guilty. Nobody's above sin. But my point I'm making is that when we talk about aborting, you might be aborting the leader that may be able to be the next Brother Malcolm, the next Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You never know who this person, the next Marcus Garvey, the next Harriet Tubman, that might lead us into, greatness. You never know what God has assigned that womb. You might be getting rid of the person that might have a cure for cancer, have a cure for so many elements. But once again, we have to think wisely. We got to think from the neck up, not from the chin down, because when we do that, we do a disservice. So when we're thinking about, okay, how can I not get caught up where I'm not making these hard decisions? By us not putting ourselves in positions in a worldly sense, that eliminates so many things. So guess what? If we as black men are busy trying to better our community, we don't have time for foolishness. We don't have time for sport and play. Now, they have its place. There's nothing wrong, I guess, with watching sports. But once again, that can't be the majority of our time. Because a lot of times when a man is thinking on a mission, they don't have time for things that's going to take away from that mission. And then when a woman sees a man on a mission, she wants to support that man. She wants to make sure that man, whatever he's on his mind, she sees God working through him. So when a woman sees a man working the way God wants, is nothing like a woman that has that support to see you do well. Brothers, The same thing with a sister. If you seeing God move through your wife, your mom, your sister, and you see that element there where it's better in the community, where you see that she's building a program to help educate the children, or a program that's help the agriculture on how to grow food, or how to uh, better dress and be more modest, and how women should dress. Those things we want to support. So we bring that element there. But guess what? When we focus on those elements, foolishness has no place no more. And this is what they don't want. When we get away from foolish things and we separate from it and we start working on a God level, elevation, I'm saying knowledge, freedom and understanding, you know what I'm saying? That's what we want to work on, So closing out, the message of today is what can we do to actually create programs for our community? Okay. So if you can spread that information and do that challenge, you want to challenge all men. We don't want to hear no griping. We don't hear no complaining. I don't want to hear about the white man won't let me do that. We're not playing victim. We don't want victims. Victims don't do nothing but cry. And I might as well pass you a pack of Pampers and you do that. We're not doing it. We're looking for men to actually that have the testicular fortitude to actually take that join with me as your brother to actually go out and start a program. So you might say, well, Vaughn, what kind of programs do you have? Well, I'd be happy to share with you. So what are the programs? One of the programs that we actually put together is a chess program. Now, the chess program, if you ever played chess, chess is a phenomenal game where you can teach so many lessons on that chessboard. Because with the game of chess, it's your intellect against the next man's intellect. And that's one of the things that we can use as a conflict resolution because a lot of barbershops have chess games in there. A lot of places have chess games. And guess what? When a man is sitting quiet, he is focused. And every move he does on that chessboard, he's responsible for. So that's how we teach a lot of young men. Even when I was teamed up with my brother Shaka, peace out to brother Shaka, we went out even to the prisons and the chess programs, you see so many young men utilizing that game of chess in order to be great at conflict resolution. And we teach lessons utilizing that chess. And we also specifically talk about if you play chess, the queen. Now, the queen is one of the powerful pieces on the chessboard. Okay. And you want to protect that queen because the queen can move pretty much anywhere on that board for those who play. But if you don't know how to play chess, go online and learn the game of chess and get an understanding. Let's go to my sisters as well. And you can see what I'm talking about when we actually introduce chess in those kind of surroundings, that we can give lessons and life lessons utilizing that chessboard. Because every time you make a move, you're responsible for it. And you can say that metaphorically about those same things in life. When you actually play a game of chess, it is, if you hear that term all the time, this ain't checkers, this is chess. Because checkers is, yes, that's a fine game, but chess is a whole different part of mathematics. Okay. That's a whole different dynamic because it is a mathematical game that requires thought, focus, tactic, and maneuvers. Now, tactic and maneuvers that we're taught, that is one of the key elements that we need to actually make anything that we want work. Okay. So if we use a tactic and maneuvers on how we want to better our community, that chess game is a great way to learn, even if you do it online. And like I said, if you want to use that phone wisely, brothers, pick up an app dealing with chess. It'll strategize, make you think harder, make you always be in thought, even with your own personal moves, that it may slow you down from doing something you may regret. No different than a chess move. You make a move, and sometimes the rules are once your hand comes off that piece, you're responsible for that move. So it's pretty much the same thing in life. When we play chess, before we make a move, we got to say, what is the long-term problem that I may have if I do this move? Would I get a gain from it, or would it result in me regretting it and actually being checkmate in life? So when we go back to our community, we have these conversations. Okay, once again, chart them down, learn how to execute, and once again, if you want to learn so many elements on how the nation moves and how so many black men are willing to put, suited and booted and be in the community, visit any Nation of Islam mosque. And young and sisters, if you got sons, Bring them to the mosque. Once again, if you're a Christian, that's fine. If your church don't have those programs, you can bring them to the mosque. And once again, the brothers will be more than happy to be there for your sons. Or if you have programs that you know dealing with men in a positive level, yes, do your due diligence to make sure that those programs are teaching manhood. Men don't wear dresses. Men don't wear lipstick. They don't wear mascara. They don't wear wigs. We're teaching manhood. Okay, we're teaching manhood, how men conduct themselves. Okay, because today when you tell a black man to be a man, we're giving, we give such a pushback saying it's toxic masculinity. There's no such thing. A man's a man. He's gonna stand 10 toes down, and this is where we got to get back to. We got to leave a household that may be highly full of estrogen and bring men, young boys, into an element of testosterone where he can stand 10 toes down, where you can say, damn, I got a man in front of me. A man talks gentle, you know what I'm saying, but he talks and say what he means with his chest, chin up, eyes straight across. He don't wither and buckle down and soften his tone. No, men talk like men. And this is one of the things that we are teaching young boys, to be respectful to his mother, to his sisters, to the women in the community, to love his brother as he loves himself. Those are the key elements that we're teaching in the Nation of Islam and in some churches. We can have those things in place. That's the things that you need to put your son towards. If you have football leagues that are teaching, if you have a great coach, it was saying that's a male influence on teaching responsibility, how to stand 10 toes on your own, how a man should be able to look forward to buying his own house. No man, and I know I'm going to touch some toes on this, no man should be moving into another female's house. Now, the reason I say that is because you can't be the man of the house of something that you did not go through the process to get. And this is not downing you. If you have an apartment and that's yours, brother, that's yours. I don't care if it's the size of a broom closet. If that's your apartment, brother, and know how big or small it is, you took your hard-earned money, you put down an application, and that's something you should feel proud about. That is yours. Once again, you should want to have your own home, okay, to bring a woman into, to make it into heaven for you. Now, if a woman already has her own home, that's fine. If you decide to get married, right, that's something you can work out where even if you say to your fiance that already have a home, how much did you pay for this? You put equal or more to her in order for her to say that you're an equal partner in that home. You don't move in because you cut the grass and you fix a couple of doors or you fix a couple of things around the house. You want to feel that, hey, I contributed to this process where you make the burden lighter on her. It's not the other way around because God made us a certain way. God gave us the responsibility to put the weight of the world on our shoulders. This is why sometimes you might see in the Nation of Islam the patches on their shoulder dealing with freedom, justice, and equality, because God has designed us, and this is why we have the frame that we have to put the weight of the world on our shoulders, not her shoulders. It doesn't work like that. And this is why we all mixed up today. Your responsibility, brother, is, like I said, to stand 10 toes down, and it feels great to actually know that you are busting your behind, not only for yourself, that you feel good that, hey, I maintain for my wife, I maintain for my children. She's going to help you if she is a good helpmeet. If she's a good helpmeet, she's going to make sure that you have food, clean clothes, the house is squared away. Those are honorable positions. I don't care what profession she has, because after the 9 to 5, you get to see what type of woman do you have. If she's a 9 to 5 bringing it home, then she's doing a disservice because she's bringing worldly things into the home, which shouldn't be warranted. Okay, that's when you guys come together and be each other's peace and bring that balance that is necessary for your home. So to my brothers out there that, it's going to be hard. It's going to be work. And that's the thing that I loved about using the Million Man March in 95 as an example, that we can use these things as a homework assignment, that those marching orders that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave all black men, we can still do it today if we get away from the distractions, things that are not feeding us mentally and spiritually, things that is distracting us from actually being better. There's probably a lot of you right now that probably got a beautiful business idea. We're not moving out on it. Why not? What's stopping us from actually sitting down and actually putting in the work to put those things into place? if you're watching this election, and this election, it should be a depressing thing for anybody. I don't care what political side you're on. It's very depressing because we're making idols out of candidates that has nothing to do with us being better at a grassroots level. After the election, our community will look the same because we have no plans other than hoping that this magical being that we're creating out of these politicians is going to sprinkle down these things and let it happen. It ain't going to happen. Once again, I used history earlier as an example from the Black Wall Street to the Black Wall Street in Central Park in New York. When that also right now, that's been uh, something that turned into a gravesite, or the park took it over Central Park. But we have so many black communities historically during Jim Crow that would tell you that we didn't need anybody to come in our community to campaign anything in order for us to be successful. So, in closing, I just want to share this. Let's do better. Let's stop grandstanding and let's make sure that we do the best that we can to bring attention to what needs to be done. I pray that my words were not offensive. It was definitely coming from a good place. And, I would love to hear from you. And if you have anything that you want to share, whether it be a business or a program, my platform is your platform. I also have a website that some of you may see on my feed. It's called Brother Levon X CommunityReporting.com. If you have a business, although you share it on your platform, and guess what? There's no such thing as too much publicity. I'd be more than happy to share your program with the followers and my traffic that I have on my personal website with the world if you have something positive going on. So once again, it's www.brother spelled out BROTHER Levon, my name Levon X CommunityReporting.com. If you go to my website, I have plenty of blogs. I have podcasts. I have clothing line. I have everything on there. If you enjoy it, so be it. If you join on there, you can definitely send me a message when you join on and to my email list, and then I'd be more than happy to say, this is brother so and so. They have a community program in this place. Please support it. Here's sister so and so. Sister has a class that pertains to women and womanhood, not feminist movement, womanhood, sisterhood. That's what we promote: womanhood and sisterhood. Nothing feminist. We don't want that. Chauvinistic and feminist ideology has no room in our community because it causes division. We're not looking for division. We're looking for addition and multiplication. Those are the mathematical terms that we're looking for when we're doing anything dealing with our community. Our community. The only thing we want to subtract from is the nonsense. So if we have a program, I'd be more than happy to share it. And my word is my bond. I will put it out there. I will paste it on my TikTok platform. I'll put it on my followers and I'll send that to the email list. I'd be more than happy. That's what it's called, networking. And some of us can do the same thing. If you see something positive and you see something that's benefiting our community in a good way, not politics, grassroots movements, we're looking for to give life to those things because those are the things that's going to matter. Because guess what? We have grassroots movements. You can easily pick up the phone and call that movement for assistance, or you can add on to it. That's the life that we need for our community. So this is your brother. I definitely appreciate you being part of my live. And once again, don't forget, please go out and get Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Not only does it have spiritual guidance in there, he has an economic blueprint inside this book that you can utilize, and he maps out how to go about doing it step by step by numbers on how we can use the economic blueprint to actually bring whatever we want into fruition. So we cannot say no longer that we don't know. One of your brothers is giving you one other alternatives on how we can better our community. The books to go get it, and you go into noi.org to get the official book. Okay, that's what we're looking for, to get the official book in order for us to bring anything that we want in fruition. So this is your brother. May God continue to bless you. We're looking for positivity. Let's use these platforms to build our community. No more griping and bitching and complaining about politics. policies, who's going to do what, you know. Let's talk about what we can do to better our community. Until the next time, may God continue to bless you. And we look forward as we progress and bring more information to these podcasts with love. We're looking to give freedom, justice, and equality. And man, let's do the damn thing. We can do it. All right. This is your brother. Continue to live in peace and harmony, and be a brother and a sister to your own brothers and sisters, and be want for your brother and sisters what you want for yourself. May God continue to bless you with this beautiful day. Have a beautiful, beautiful work week, and don't forget, look up that Million Man March pledge, or if you just want to watch the whole thing, reminisce off it. And some of you who are, and just real quick, some of you who were born after 95, look at the spirit of that whole movement. And once again, bring it to now, the present time. You know what I'm saying? We need that Joshua generation to actually see stuff like that. And if you're a mom, your son, sit down on the couch and show them the march. Show them march. If you are uncle, grandfather that was there at the march, sit down with your young people or create a room where you can invite the young brothers over there, show the march, and have a conversation. That is a perfect way to set the tone for any conversation when you're trying to create an organization, what have you. Nothing negative. Now, some of you may say, and this, I'll make sure I make this important point, that what happened to the money during the Million Man March? You worry about the wrong things. The Nation of Islam, if you go to NOI.org, it has an audit where they teach to show you the audit of the march, because things had to be paid for that march. The teleprompters, those huge ones that you've seen on the mall, once again, we funded that. And those who supported the movement funded those things. The government didn't fund that march. The government will not fund a million black men coming together to do better. That's not their part of the agenda. Because once again, if you look at what is out there, that's not going to happen. Because once again, when black men are doing good, it hurts everything. It hurts that prison pipeline system. It hurts the welfare system. It hurts everything when we come together, and that's big money. You're not going to stop the money, because money is the god of this wicked system. So that's how much power you have. You talk about the black men come out and vote. Guess what? Black men come out and be together. If you really want to see a system crumble, come work together and ignore the nonsense. Have your own business. Have your own security. Have all those elements, and you have lawyers on standby. Become doctors. You know, have your own land and you grow your own food. That's a revolution. That's a revolution that they don't want. Okay, so your power is not in coming together for a vote. That ain't no goddamn power. The power is our unity and getting away from foolishness. So that's how we do it. When you can lift your women up and you can tell her, hey, sister, you ain't got to be in that stripper pole. Hey, sister, you ain't got to sell your body. Hey, when sex trafficking happens, guess what? There's a black man on every corner on his post, because those things can't happen. That is an issue. The words that I'm saying to you is going to be an issue. That's real talk. So that's the power. Our unity is our power. So let's get to work, brothers. We got more programs coming up. And once again, if you want to visit any Nation of Islam mosque, just put in the city, your zip code, and you can look it up on Google. You can find any mosque you can go to. And once again, visit Sunday, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And also, they have special classes on Saturday for our sisters. You find all those things there. Just visit. You'll be guided on the right path. And then if you go to NY.org, they have plenty of webcasts of great lecture, books, and everything of those nature. So I gave my family the tools. I gave them what I have for us to be successful. It's a start, and I pray that this all works out. So that's all I got to say, because I'm loaded. But once again, I want to just save a little bit for the next time that we have these lives. And I definitely enjoy to be able to talk to so many of you. And thank you so much for those who have supported what I'm striving to accomplish. And I look forward to actually building with you. So once again, may God continue to bless you with a beautiful day. For every Monday, there's a Friday. So Mondays are not bad. And there's someone in a hospital room or a jail cell wish they can be out on a Monday, you know, to be free, to be able to see the birds and the sun and to breathe fresh air. So Monday is a blessing. Don't complain about you being at work. You know, there's somebody right now wishing they had an income to be able to maintain. So let's count our blessings and not be so ungrateful, because we have things that we have to do to maintain ourselves. to be able to maintain in the world that we're living in today is a blessing, not a complaint. So that's my soapbox. I pray that we all do well. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Well, as you can hear behind me, the crowd is going wild. They're waiting on Brother Levon X to give his next report. The brother has been very informative, and everyone is so excited about his next form of information. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Von X.
Here he is, your Levon X. Your Levon X. Here he is, your Levon X. Conversation. Here he is, your Levon X. Your Levon X. Here he is, your Levon X. Information, conversation, stories too, maybe an interview. Brother, just keep it cool. We loving what you do, showing us self-respect. Can't wait to see what's next. Hey y'all, it's time for Von X. Here it is, the one and only. Here he is, Mr. Levon. I said, here he is, the one and only. Yeah, here he is, Mr. Levon. Information. Here he is, the one and only. Here he is, Mr. Levon. I said, here he is, the one and only. Yeah, here he is, Mr. Levon. Here he is, the one and only. Here he is, Mr. Levon. I said, here he is, the one and only. Yeah, here he is, Mr. Levon. Information.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brother Von X.